Hi everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I think everybody can hear.
Yes.
And listen. Okay.
Morning.
Morning. So welcome back again. So it's very nice to see you all, and I wish all of you have a nice holiday. Last week it was Thanksgiving Day. Okay. So before we start, Jan, we start with the praying to the triple gem. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So it means we are blessed to the pray to the triple gem and blessed the worldly beings, the enlightened one and the awakening one. Okay, so we can start. Let me open my slideshow. Screen. Okay. Share. Okay. Okay. So I think to this class also, I expect we can do some more interaction as well. And last few classes we have done from the historical Buddha's journey, and we discuss about first Buddhist council, second Buddhist council, and up to third Buddhist council. So we all are known that third in the, excuse me, sorry if anyone is coming here. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so we all are aware that in the first Buddhist council and second Buddhist council, there are no sectarian. So that means just the authentic teachings were remaining. And in the third Buddhist council, we discussed last class, and it held during the time of Emperor Ashoka. And in the third Buddhist council, the monk who agree with this council, they are known as Vivejjavada. So Vivejjavada, its literal meaning was the doctrine of analysis. So we discussed about how the term Vivejjavada evolved in our last class. So we again we see that the third Buddhist council was held in 250 BCE. So in between third Buddhist council and fourth Buddhist council, we can see there are a few hundred years gap, like nearly 200 years. And after third Buddhist council, as we know that the teaching was spread into the 9 regions. As we know that King Ashoka, under the support by King Emperor Ashoka, 9 missionaries were sent to 9 different regions. So it was and then in India, what's happened? Like in the North India, after third Buddhist council, we know a little bit about the northern part of India, where the council was held in Pataliputra, in northern part, like present day Bihar or Odisha and Bengal. We know a little bit about after the third Buddhist council, and we know that one group of missionary went to Sri Lanka, and it was known as Lankadipa during the after the third Buddhist council. And another group went to Subarnadipa, which is present day we can notice as Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, or Indonesia. So these are belong to Subarnadipa. So after third Buddhist council, if we say that which kind of tradition arrived into Sri Lanka or Thailand or Myanmar, So we can answer that Vivekavada, because during the Third Buddhist Council, we all agree that the monks who agree with this with the doctrine, the teachings, they are known as the monk of Vivekavada, or the doctrine of analysis. So later on, Vivekavada became known as Theravada. So it is another story how the Theravada became Theravada, or how the Vivekavada evolved into Theravada. Actually, the term Theravada came later and later, many hundred years later. Actually, most approximately the term Theravada came 5th century. So if you see that between the time frame Third Buddhist Council to the 5th century, almost 800 years gap, we can say. So the term Theravada start when Venerable Buddha Ghosa, who is the author of the Path of Purification, he started to mention that Buddha was Theravada. And after he arrived into Sri Lanka, within his text and commentarial compilation, mostly during that period, the term Theravada was came. And Thera means the elders, or the and you know that, as we know that how the teaching was preserved in the after the first Buddhist council up to second Buddhist council, the teaching was preserved as oral transmission. So those who recorded the teachings, they are known as Stavida as Thera, or elder disciples or elder monks. So then after third Buddhist council, we can see that the teaching also preserved. I mean, as after third Buddhist council, sorry, after third Buddhist council, we saw that all the teachings were recorded on rock edict and pillar edict. So now we are heading to discuss about fourth Buddhist council. So the time that the gap between third Buddhist council to the fourth Buddhist council, we can see that there are about 300 years gap. And the story about the historical background about not India, what happened after third Buddhist council, and how it was how the Vivekavada became weaker in the northern India. So we know a little bit only about that. So there, according to the historical account, there are two fourth Buddhist council. According to Chinese account, the fourth Buddhist council was held in Kashmir in the 100 CE. And according to and on the other hand, Sri Lankan Orthodox or Theravadin Orthodox from the Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Thailand as well, they say that no, fourth Buddhist council was held in Sri Lanka in 25th CE, during the time of Sri Lankan King Bhattagamini. So today we discuss about the fourth Buddhist council. So in the fourth Buddhist, we can say that we can say that fourth Buddhist council, it was supported by Kushan Emperor King Kanishka. So in Indian Buddhism, there were two main kings who were famous who supported warm-heartedly to propagate the Dharma into entire India and outside of India. One was Emperor Ashoka, and another one is Emperor Kanishka. So they have a wide range of kingdom, and it says that, according to the archaeological evidence and also historical evidence, Kushan dynasty, an emperor of the Kushan was wider than Emperor Ashoka. So Kushan emperor, it has two capital. One is Purushapura located in Pakistan, present day Peshawar, and another one is Kashmir, is in the South Indian, south not South Indian. So Kashmir is close to one side of Kashmir is close to Pakistan, present day, and another side is very close to China as well. Chinese border is so there in Khotan and Bactria. So during the time of Emperor Kanishka and Kushan dynasty, so the fourth Buddhist council was held, and the fourth Buddhist there are two chairpersons for this fourth Buddhist council. One was Basumitra, and another one is Aswaghosa. Actually, Ashwaghosa was very well known scholar as well. He is the one scholar who contributed to write the life story of the Buddha, and it was written for the first time. So it known as the Buddha Charita, and he also author for Lalita Vistara. So Lalita Vistara is discuss about the Bodhisattva's past life. So as we know that from the scriptural, from the Jataka story, we can know that there are 499 lives of the Buddhas, of the and when he was spending his time as a Bodhisattva. So Aswaghosa is undoubtedly he was a brilliant scholar, and as we said, as I mentioned, Venerable Buddhaghosa was one who introduced the term Theravada. In the same way, Aswaghosa contributed to introduce the term Maha, or later it became known as Mahayana. Actually, the term Maha means great. So when Aswaghosa was read his literature, he mentioned Bodhisattva as Maha Bodhisattva. So he is the term he added in the prefix great Bodhisattva or great beings. He explained that he mentioned Maha Bodhisattva, or sometimes Karuna. Karuna means compassion. Karuna is both Sanskrit and Pali word. So Aswaghosa mentioned Karuna, Maha Karuna, great compassion. So we can see the term Maha, or it is mostly it started by scholar Aswaghosa. He used the term very widely in his any literatures. We can see this kind of language in Lalita Vistara and Buddha Charita. Maybe another popular term is Mahasattva. Sattva means being. Mahasattva is a great being. He mentioned the great being to the Buddha. He said Buddha is a Mahasattva, the great being. I think it is another epistemological argument that the term Mahayana was started to used by formally by scholar Aswaghosa or Ashwaghosa. So Aswaghosa, he is a very brilliant scholar, obviously, and he contributed to his scholarship to write down the Buddha's biography, which is still we're using, and we got the great sources about the details about the Buddha's biography, like historical Buddha's biography, such as when the Buddha's mother Mahamaya was heading to his father's house. On the way, Prince Siddhartha was born. So he was born as normally people born, and they're born and they are anyone born, any children born, they're born as on the bed. But Bodhisattva Siddhartha was born stand, and after he born he stand up, and he has a 7 future steps. So each of the future steps, we can see the lotus was blossoming. So these things, this kind of story, we can find from Venerable Aswaghosa's text. His name Buddha Charita, which was written from the 1st century to the 2nd century. On the contrary, this story we can't find in mainstream Pali Pali scriptures. I mean Pali Sutra. I say that canonical text. But in commentary, it added commentary was mostly, as you know, commentary was compiled from the 5th century to the 10th century. Pali commentary I'm talking about. So in the commentary, the story was all the story was compiled and recompiled and added. So, however, Asogosa was one of the very important figure uh, during the time of Emperor Kanishka, and he was very close monk. He was like a friend of Emperor Kanishka. So King Kanishka used to take many advice from Asogosa, how can he propagate and how can he can be support to the Dharma, and also how can he send the missionary monks into the different regions. So anyway, so Bashumicha, he was another important monk, and he was the one of the chairperson for the Fourth Buddhist Council. So in the council, there are 500 Buddhist monks were participated. So this council was known as Sarvastivada Council. So I think this term maybe many of you I think did not heard it. Maybe it is a new term for you, maybe some of you, Sarvastivada. So from the first century to the fifth century until sixth or seventh, I mean, Sarvastivada tradition empowered all over the India, and the Sarvastivada tradition actually it was evolved systematically evolved in after the fourth Buddhist Council, but I think it was started more before than the council. I think you all of you can be remember that I go back to our one of our last classes, uh, maybe last class, yeah. As you remember that after the second Buddhist Council, the Sangha divided into two parts. One is one is known as Stavira, which is later known as Vivajavada, and another one became known as Mahasangika. So one part of Stavira, I mean, was one part of Stavira was Sarvastivada. But yeah, it is also it is interesting sometimes. And Sarvastivada tradition, they also accept Abhidharma literature, same as Vivajavada or Theravada tradition. So as we know that, remember, just recalling the past lecture, in the first Buddhist council and the second Buddhist council, we can't find the term Abhidharma or literature of Abhidharma. But from the seven Buddhist council, we found that seven texts of Abhidharma, and the councilor, all the Sangha, all the monks, they agreed that Abhidharma was taught by the Buddha himself. So we know that the seven texts of Abhidharma. In the same way, in the fourth Buddhist council, despite it was known as Sarvastivada tradition, they also accept seven texts of Abhidharma. And the name was written almost the same way, but there is some difference about doctrinal aspect. Maybe you can ask that what kind of difference, maybe what is the key difference between the Vivajavada Abhidharma or Theravada Abhidharma and Sarvastivada Abhidharma. From my, in a brief, I just tell you that one thing. Um, Theravada Abhidharma or Vivajavada Abhidharma, they emphasized on the present moment. So they don't be agree. I don't say don't agree, but they don't want to be discuss past and future. They say that no, all dharma are we have to observe the condition or observing the situation as they are and try to stay in the present moment. So it is one of the key term for Theravada or Vivajavada Abhidharma. On the other hand, Sarvastivada Abhidharma, they said all dharma are exist in the three periods of time. So three periods means like as you know that past, present, and future. That's why they said sarva, sarvam asti, sarvam asti. Sarvam means all, asti means exist, all exist. So that all exist. So that is the literal meaning for Sarvastivada. So we are going to discuss a little bit about Sarvastivada today. So um, before we discuss Sarvastivada, then we can go to the discuss about another important thing. What happened after during the fourth Buddhist Council and after the fourth Buddhist Council? So in the fourth Buddhist Council, all the monks they agreed that Sarvastivada Abhidharma were discoursed by the Buddha himself. And and after the fourth Buddhist Council and during the Emperor Kanishka period and Kushan dynasty, for the first time we can see the building stupa and monuments. Actually, stupa was already made by Emperor Ashoka, but not this structure like King Kanishka's time. It was a time like we can say that Renaissance or I mean some a lot of new Buddhist arts and craft developed during his time. And during that time, Buddha's relics was started to preserved and worshipping. And of course, Ashoka's King Kanishka had also another contribution. He also preserved all the pilgrimage area, important Buddhist site, and he made many stupas in the in the all over the pilgrimage site, such as like the diamond throne. It was sometime it mentioned that it was also preserved by Emperor Kanishka. A diamond throne in the Buddha Gaya. As you know, Buddha Gaya is a place, the enlightenment place of the Buddha. And also now we can see that the giant monument in Buddha Gaya, it was also started to build by Emperor Kanishka. And there are so many monuments and stupa or or also that a temple and caves were established by King Kanishka throughout the India, Gandhara, and Bactria, and over the Silk Road. That's right. So as you know, the Gandhara is the present day Pakistan and Afghanistan, and some part of India as well. And during that time, we can say the golden time for Buddhist for Buddhism in the Gandhara, Kashmir, Mathura, North India, Bactria, Oasis, or Silk Road, or until the Kutan, Kucha, this area. Kutan and Kucha at the present day, it is belong to China. So his kingdom extended until the some part of China too. And another thing, like this during the time of Emperor Kanishka, he introduced the Buddha statue or Buddha's symbol of the Buddha on his coin, in his gold coin. So he learned. I mean, that time in the first century to the fourth century, it was very good cultural exchange in between Asia and Europe, mostly with the Greek as well. So when they have a Greek and Asia have a cultural exchange, Greek businessmen they introduced arts and statue, the tradition of a statue to them. And Greek, in the history, according to the history, Greek people and Greek artists they like to create their hero, their national hero, or their deity's statue. So in the similarly, Emperor Kanishka and also that the supporters started to create the Buddha statue, and all the arts and craft was initiated. So this is in this slide you can see that one coin. So you can see the both side. So in this coin, it was mentioned that kings of the kings, Kanishka, kings of the kings. Actually, it is written in the Karusti language. There's the Karusti is another form of Brahmi Lipi. Brahmi Lipi is the uh, very old language. It's another version of you can say Magadha language. So in this language, he mentioned that kings of the king. So Kanishka as a kings of the king, and another side he mentioned the Buddha, and Buddha as a fearless mudra. Mudra means the symbol, and this one is like when you have a showing the fingers, 5 fingers, it like it's symbol for fearless. So the form for fearless symbol, it start from during the time of Emperor Kanishka. So according to the Buddhist art, we can see there are a few types of symbol. Some symbol we can see like they have many meaning. Like this symbol, it represents like Buddha's Dharma chakra, the wheel of the Dharma. This symbol, four fingers should be the top, and it represents that it refers to the fearless tradition. And when you if you have an opportunity to travel some museum or some Indian archaeological places, you still can see many forms of Buddha's Buddhist art. Anyway, so in the time of King Kanishka, the tradition of Buddhist art initiated. And another thing, Kanishka's period, the statue, the first generation of the statue, you can say that Buddha like a European face. So Greek, it is also when you can see a lot of a statue until the 4th century actually, from the 1st century to the 4th century, in the first during those period, the statue was built up in Gandhara, Kashmir, Mathura, North India. Those all look like a Greek or European face. So as we can say that Greco-Buddhist art. So this picture I was took from Washington last. There's one exhibition was going on in last March. Sorry, in February. Yeah. So this is the fortunately that some of the statue we still can found, and people, generous people, they brought back to into the museum. And this generation is where I mean, again, I'm repeating, from the 1st century to the 4th century, the Buddha statue or Buddhist art, you can see Buddha seems like a Greek structure, Western face. So this is from this picture. This from our in the Bay Area, San Francisco Asia Art Museum. And this statue also was built in during the time of from the 1st century to the 2nd century, and this statue found in Pakistan, Peshawar. So fortunately, that some people preserve it and they bring to museum. So in this statue, also you can see the Buddha as a Western face. You can see that this is not clear. This one hand of the Buddha, but this hand is clear a bit. So this mudra also represented the Buddha's teaching, and it also it represented the wheel of the Dharma. That's this kind of the two hands, the mudra, the portion. So we can see that another thing also, we see the Buddha has a kind of a symbol here on his forehead too. So it represented his teaching, his Dharma teachings. Actually, this kind of Buddha's mudra mostly we can found from the in the literature, Asoghosa's literature, Buddha Charita. So in the Buddha Charita, the the life of the Buddha in this text, it mentioned when Buddha was preaching his Dharma, he has one hair from his forehead, and it is like to moving. So sometimes it mentioned it represented his third eyes. Maybe we say inner eyes. Maybe inner eyes can be represented from his forehead. Probably it is the one concept. I'm not sure why this tradition was added. So, however, um, it, I mean, a lot of the structure of the Buddha statue or Buddhist sculpture are related to the Venerable Asogosa's diary. So another thing, and this is also another amazing art from the Kushan dynasty. It was built from the in between the second century to the fourth century. So this stone is amazing. There's a fourth side, and in this stone, the fourth side is represent that four important events of the Buddha's life. One was his birth. Another one is that when he was preached the wheel of Dharma, turning in the wheel of Dharma, as we say, Dharma Chakra Pravartana Sutra, the discourse turning on the wheel of the Dharma in motion. And another one is represented the Buddha's Mahaparinirvana, that the Buddha when he was passing away. And another side, we can see that the Buddha's enlightenment, So four important events in the Buddha's life was depicted on this stone at the fourth side, and still you can see in the Asia Art Museum of San Francisco. So yeah, this is also these are okay. Why I mean, when you can see the Buddhist arts from the first century to the fourth century, those art are represent the arts of the Kushan dynasty, and almost all those statue in this period, whatever it was built up, they look like Western face. But from the 5th century, after Kushan dynasty fall down, during the time of Gupta dynasty and Pal dynasty in India, so the time the Buddha statue was built up, it looked like an Indian face. So it is built up in this statue built up in the 7th century. All this statue, I took this picture from Asia Art Museum of San Francisco. So this you can see that they remain the same mudra, same kind of structure, like Dharma Chakra mudra, like Kushan dynasty, but they change the face. They bring back the face like Indian face. And when you go to after following this tradition, the change up when the Buddha statue was built in Myanmar or Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, they all make this look like Thai face or Myanmar face. And even also Buddha was statue built in Bangladesh, they look like a Bengal face. So it is interesting that in Kanishka's period, the remain that Buddha statue, most of the statue they like a Western face. So in this time, the Emperor Kanishka's period, in the first century, the Lotus Sutra, the tradition Saddharmapundarika Sutra or Lotus Sutra, the tradition, it was initiated. Actually, Lotus Sutra is one of the very popular sutra in Buddhism, most apparently with the Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism. So it has many versions. So mostly that it started from by Venerable Asogosa in the first century. So in this Lotus Sutra, I mean, it start up with this language, I mean, about the devotion. So Buddha devotion or Buddhist way of devotional poetic poetic verses and prose, or now we added into chanting. It started in the, I mean, we can see from the Lotus Sutra. So it is the beginning of the devotional period. I mean, after the Buddha statue was there, so Buddha's relics is there. So people need to do something. People need to do some religious activities. So religious one requirement for religion is they have a ritual parts. So Buddhist people added the ritual part. Mostly it has started from the Emperor Kanishka's period. So in the Lotus Sutra, one part in this, we can say that. Eh, um, let me allow to read. With the full faith and devotions, those who offer flowers and perfumes to the relics of the Buddhas and to the stupa or monuments attain the bliss of enlightenment. Actually, it was mentioned in the, by in the Saddharmapundarika Sutra or Lotus Sutra. So that represented the monks during that period. They encouraged the devotees for became more faithful and to perform ritual part. So that's why they say that you can be enlightenment. I mean, it have a potential to become enlightenment when you are continue to worship the Buddhist stupa or Buddhist monuments or Buddha's relics with flowers or incense, you know. So you can get you can obtain many merits. So the term many merits, it also evolved during that period. So however that I mean, during the fourth Buddhist council, a lot of things, a lot of ritual part added. But what we cannot see in the from the according to the scriptural evidence, we can't see this ritual part in the third Buddhist council or in even first or second Buddhist council. So excuse me. So now I would like to speak about the doctrinal change, doctrinal aspect in the fourth Buddhist council. So fourth Buddhist council was known as the Council of Sarvastivada tradition. So Sarvastivada tradition, it is it is the one of the sister school of Vivajavada school. So sometime Theravada said Sarvastivada school is the sister school of Theravada school. So both Vivajavada or Theravada or Sarvastivada, they agree with the teachings of Abhidharma. And both school, interestingly, has 7 Abhidharmika texts. And both schools agreed that Abhidharma teachings were taught by the Buddha himself. So the concept of Sarvastivada, Sarva means all, Sarvastivada, Asti means existence, Sarva, Asti, Vada. So there are 3 words come together as a Sarvastivada. For your information, Pali, Sanskrit, or Brahmilipi, or any Indian language, there are so many words compiled into together. They like to use the long word, or long letters. So we can say Theravada, or many terms like, there's two words together actually. When you say Theravada, Thera means elder, Vada, that means the school, the concept, the vehicle of elders, Sarvastivada. So the school who believe that Dharma is exist in all periods of time. So mostly Sarvastivada defined Dharma as worldly entity that has its own specific nature or subtype of character. So Dharma has its own intrinsic nature which is unchangeable. So Dharma, the term Dharma, actually it has thousands of meaning. Dharma, it can be the object. Dharma, it means it can be the doctrine. And the term Dharma, it can be translated as a character too. So here the term Dharma is more close to character and its intrinsic nature. So Sarvastivada tradition, they emphasized that all the Dharma exists in their intrinsic nature, and the intrinsic nature is unchangeable. So during the fourth Buddhist council, there are so many scholars participated. So mostly that, as we know, that they discussed that Venerable Asvagosa and Bashumitra were the leader of this council. But Bashumitra and another three monks, Dharmatrata or Dharmamitra, and the Pasova and Goshaka, those monks offer the many their opinions during the council. So there are four main monks, four scholars. The four scholars offer the four viewpoint to support the idea all the dharma exist in their intrinsic nature. So one monk, his name is Venerable Dharmatrata. He mentioned, he hypothesized that there is a change in mood of being. Dharma of the future mood of existence are based on the present mood of existence. He also said that I'm reading from my class handouts. Despite that, all the Dharma change their mood, there is no change of their intrinsic nature. So he gave an example. He said that gold remains as gold. So for example, there's a gold vessel. So it's made by the vessel made by pure gold. Suddenly the vessel is broken, but gold is still there. Even it is the gold. Even the vessel is broken, but the nature of the gold is still there. From the broken vessel, people can make some ornaments, maybe gold ornaments too, maybe gold another vessel too, but it still remain the gold nature. Still, its color is the gold color. So while there may be change in shape in both objects, the intrinsic nature of the object, such as its color, remains the same. Actually, it is a huge topic, huge area for discussion. But I'm just giving the in brief way. So again, I repeat: while there may be change in shape in both objects, the intrinsic nature of the object, such as its color, the gold color, remains the same. Even the gold vessel is broken, but it still remains the gold color. And from the broken vessel, you still can consider to make some other vessel or some other ornaments or something like this. So it's mentioned that our human intrinsic nature, it is somehow like a unchangeable. So the nature is there, but it is only the shape is changing, only appearance is changing, but somehow its intrinsic nature still remain as same. So in the end, gold remains gold. From this example, we can say that pure gold refers to one's intrinsic nature, as we mentioned in Sanskrit, swabhava. We can commonly we can translate as a intrinsic nature, swabhava. Sometimes we can also translate as swabhava as a character, someone's character too. So anyway, again, goals remains gold. From this example, we can easily can say that pure gold refers to one's intrinsic nature, and the change of shape refers to one's mood of being, mood of being, which one known as Sanskrit bhava anyatvava. So this is a one hypothesis was given by Venerable Dhammatrata during the Fourth Buddhist Council. And another monk, he support this idea. His name is Venerable Goshaka. So he theorized that the characteristics of an object are unchangeable. When dharma operates in time, it changes the characteristics of an object. So here, characteristics known as in Sanskrit lakshana or lakhana or sulakshana, sometimes it's said, but mostly in Sanskrit it mentioned as lakshana. So again I repeat, when dharma or dharmas operate in time, it changes the characteristics of an object. There is no change in substance. However, the dharma in each of the temporal period has worldly characteristics. Although dharmas arise together, either the past, present, or future temporal state becomes dominant. So here, there is, in the same way, by like a Venerable Dhammatrata, he said, there is no change in their intrinsic nature. So they have a many complicated example to argument within this argument, but I like to give one short one easy way to understand. For example, someone like probably dark chocolate. So you like to eat dark chocolate. So you always remember the flavor of the dark chocolate. But you see that the flavor of dark chocolate is like the characteristics, what you want, the desire. So unfortunately, when you went to shop, you could not find dark chocolate. Probably you can find something else like vanilla or some other flavor of the chocolate. But yes, since you are intending to eat chocolate and you need to buy, you are very determined to buy a chocolate. So you got maybe different flavor, maybe orange flavor or lemon flavor or vanilla flavors, whatever. So, but all the you take it, you bought it, this chocolate. Then when you're eating, you are judging that all the flavor, comparing with dark chocolate, because it is with you always. This dark chocolate is it is remaining with you. It is your own intrinsic nature. It is intrinsic characteristics too. So I mean, it just changed the types, different materials, but you are still in attached to that dark chocolate. So this is the swabhava. So it says that in this way, I mean, this argument can be hypothesized that the dharma, the dharma in each temporal state becomes dominant. So the dark chocolate still dominating. Even you have many other flavors, maybe some flavor probably, maybe some qualities maybe better than dark chocolate, but you still think, and you still how to say that very strict with your idea with the dark chocolate because you would like to have it. It is still in your mind. It is still remain in your character. So, and there is no change of its intrinsic nature. So this is was given by Venerable uh, Goshaka. And the next one, Venerable Bashumitra, they are trying to support this idea. Their objective is that the intrinsic nature is unchangeable. This is the main hypothesis. So Venerable Bashumitra said, there is a change in the state of Dharma based on its activity. When Dharma operates in time, it changes its state in regards to its condition. There is no change in substance. So let me repeat again. There is a change in the state of Dharma based on the activity. When Dharma operates in time, it changes its states or avastha according to its conditions. There is no change in substance. So here the common it is actually this translation I took from Venerable Bashumitra, this one from main things doctrine was written in Sanskrit language. So the example is that you water, ice, ice, water, stream. So as we know that ice, we keep ice under heat. The ice became water. So when you keep water and boil on a stove, we can see that the water became a steam, and steam it mixed with the air. From air, I mean, in air we can see cloud. From cloud, we can the rain water. I mean, with the rain water, you can again see the water coming back into our ground. So it is rooting in the cycle. So almost all the intrinsic nature is same, but there are so many conditions: ice, water, steam. But apparently, their intrinsic nature all are same. So Venerable Bashumitra, who is the chairperson of this fourth Buddhist council, he mentioned that water can take on different forms based on conditions. During sub-freezing conditions, water transforms into ice. On the other hand, when a pot of water is placed on a gas stove, the boiling water creates steam. On the basis of activity, the nature of water remains unchanged. You can see the intrinsic nature is unchanged. But the condition of the activity alters its form. We just say that the condition is changing. But the primordial intrinsic nature is unchangeable. And now we are moving to the fourth argument. This is the last argument, and it was mentioned by Venerable Buddhadeva. He concluded, that there is a change relative to Dharma. When Dharma operates in time based on the past, present, or future, the outcome will be different. There is no change of substance, but change of relative status. It is a bit tricky. So Venerable Buddhadeva, he gave another example. Actually, it is directly from his literature. And he give example about the seed and sapling and tree and fruit. So as you know that after we planted the seed, over time it grows into a sapling. So a sapling doesn't know its root actually. We start from seed, small tiny seed. We plant on the ground, and after watering and giving the fertilizer, providing enough fertilizer, it grows up and it turns into sapling. As years go by, the sapling matures into the tree, and when right condition occurs, the tree produces fruit. So now we can see very important thing. The seed does not foresee its future as a tree that will produce the fruit. So relative to time, the tree will experience different stages of growth. That's so here we can see one thing like we can see the cycle. The intrinsic nature is still there. It's still same because from the seeds after watering and put on the ground, saplings, mature tree, fruit, and from fruits we again can get seeds, and those seeds we can plant onto the ground, and it can be rooting this cycle of the tree. So he support this idea of intrinsic nature actually. So the four arguments is a very common, very famous this argument. So based on these argumentations, the seven texts of Sarvastivada Abhidharma evolved, and that's why Sarvastivada Abhidharma is known as that all exist in the three periods of time. It says Dharma exists for the three periods of times: past, present, and future. Your intrinsic nature is still same. It is still rooting. So it's talk about mostly describe about the human psychology, human mind. So human mind, the intrinsic nature, what it was originated, it is still same. But yes, it's about the Buddhist psychology actually, but mostly Sarvastivadin way of explanation of the human mind, and based on this concept, the all evolved. The tradition evolved. So the perspective from these four arguments from Sarvastivada scholars, they define the notion all that exist through their three periods of time. And interestingly, 500 participants during this period they agree with this tradition, and they say that it was emerged from the Buddha. So this is the in briefly I mentioned. In brief idea about the Sarvastivada concept of Sarvastivada and this Abhidharma tradition. So after the fourth Buddhist council, mostly the Buddhism you can see in the India and Gandhara, Bactria, all are based on mostly based on Sarvastivada tradition, and it was more powerful tradition. But it doesn't mean that everyone practicing this tradition. They have a lot of tradition too. So after the fourth Buddhist council, of course there are so many schools we can see, but all the 18 schools, we can be categorized as four main schools. One is that Sarvastivada, Sautrantika, or then another one is that Yogacara or Vichyanavada, or Madhyamaka or Sunyatavada. So Sarvastivada, as we know, that Sarvastivada is tradition is talking about all Dharma exists for the three periods of time. So here, subject and object, mind and its object is duality. And Sautrantika, they disagree with Abhidharmic tradition, that school. So the monks and the scholars and practitioners from Sautrantika school, they are a bit orthodox. They say that no, Abhidharma tradition we can't accept. This is the just literature. This is the analysis of this by scholars or monks. We are accepting only the mainstream sutra. We accept all the discourses only that talked by the Buddha, where not Abhidharma. Dharma and Vinaya was mentioned by the Buddha. And another was Vichayanavada. That is another interesting school. They did not agree with the Abhidharma tradition too. They said no, the Buddha only talked about the discourse on the mind, Vichayanavada. And it is, I mean, it mentioned about the Vichayana, consciousness only school, or sometimes we say Yogachara, mind only school, consciousness only school. So there is, in this school, one popular term is that other things all are illusion, all are mind created. They think that in this scholars from this tradition, they like, for example, I have a pen with my hand on my hand. So the pen is illusion. The I, the mind it is they create the dream. It's all the world is a dreaming world. So all the illusional, but everything created by the mind. Actually, this concept evolved from the very popular term in the Dhammapada. In Dhammapada, it says, Mano Pubba Gamo Dhamma, Mano Setta Manomiya, Mano Setta Padutena Vasatipa Karotiba. That means mind is forerunner for every single action. So, and based on our mind, our action are proceeding by, and it also mentioned that action, wholesome and unwholesome action. So if mind thinks good, if mind considered to do good, wholesome action followed him. If mind considered to do something bad or unwholesome or misconducts for something, unwholesome action followed by. So this is mostly the concept for Vichayanavada or Yogachara. And another one is the last one is that Madhyamaka or Sunyatavada. It's this school say explain everything as emptiness. It says all are what we are doing. I mean, at the end of the day, all are empty. And this school also disagree with Abhidharma tradition. As we know that last class maybe we talked a little bit. Nagarjuna in the 1st century, 150 to 250, he lived in this, in this period. So he was the founder for this school, in this tradition. And his most famous text, maybe some of you know, Mula Madhyamaka Karika, the verse of the middle way, or Ratnavali, jewel garlands. So his argument was middle way, and the Buddha's doctrine of dependent origination, and nirvana, and this is the sunyata or emptiness. So the concept of emptiness, and based on this concept of emptiness, the school evolved, and all the literatures are evolving. So these all are philosophical arguments, and the Buddhist philosophical psychological argument too. We can see after 4th Buddhist Council, and as long as Kushan dynasty ruled the India from 1st century to until 350 CE, mostly nearly 400 years. So Sarvastivada school was the main primary Buddhist tradition in all over the India, and also the Pakistan. I mean, present Pakistan, like Gandhara state, Afghanistan too, and and Buddhism also moved to the China in that time through the Silk Road. So during the Kushan dynasty, that Indian people not only developed their exchange with the Europe, also they started to do the business with China. So normally China is, China came to India for their silk. That's why famous traveler Marco Polo, he mentioned the route as a Silk Route. So, so the Silk Route, I can maybe I have this map. Yeah, you can see the Silk Route like Kashgar, Bactria, Persia is Iran, you know. Then it's all the China Silk Road, and Takshila is the Pakistan, sorry, Takshila is one part of the Takshila, is one part of the Kashmir, and on another part is the Gandhara too. So over the Silk Road, I mean, the Dharma was transmitted all over the Asia and also the Europe too during so mostly the from the first century to the fourth century, we can see Dharma was transmitted the Sarvastivada tradition. It became more popular term. But interestingly, that maybe you can ask that one thing question: what happened? Did Kanishka also send a missionary, same like a Emperor Ashoka? Because the missionary from Emperor Ashoka after the third Buddhist council, they are Vivajavadin. Whatever we can tell the Vivajavadin as a Theravada, one form of Theravada too. Yes, King Kanishka also sent missionary everywhere. So his group, one group of the monks also went to Sri Lanka during that time, first century, and one group of monks also came to the Suvarnadipa. And at the time, Sarvastivada tradition also was empowered in during the all the land like Sri Lanka and even the Suvarnadipa like Thailand and Myanmar, Indonesia. So those zones also became Sarvastivada zone. So if we can see that some archaeological evidence, we still can find like Indonesia. Indonesia is like Borobudur. It's a strong zone for Sarvastivada tradition, and it started first century. So I'm not sure that Buddhism was true. I mean, Dharma was truly developed during the time of King Emperor Ashoka when it came to the like Suvarnabhumi, Thailand, Malaysia, or Myanmar. But during the time of the Emperor Kanishka, Dharma was, I mean, we can see a lot of archaeological evidence and a lot of historical place in Thailand. We can find that this is the Mahayana structure, and the some model are similar to the Gandhara arts. So it represents that those June took the Sarvastivada tradition even before they are embraced to the Theravada tradition. But at the moment, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and you can't see that Sarvastivada. Actually, Sarvastivada tradition disappears somehow. Only the Chinese classical Chinese, we can see these things, and we also can see some in the Tibetan too. So in the Tibetan and classical Chinese, they got they translated the tradition from mainstream Sanskrit language, actually. So there's another term. Buddhist Sanskrit is known as hybrid Sanskrit. It's a bit different than the mainstream Sanskrit actually. Mainstream Sanskrit we can see that in the Hindu text in Veda, but Buddhist Sanskrit is a bit close to the Brahmi Lipi and Pali, almost same. So anyway, that is another part of language. But what is our my in brief? I like to mention that after the fourth Buddhist council, Sarvastivada tradition became popular in India, and they based on this concept, the four concept of these four great monks, all the literatures evolved, and whatever you can see that ancient scriptures during that period, they support the idea that okay, all dharma exists for 3 periods of time, and the intrinsic nature is unchangeable, such as gold is gold. Gold remains gold, no matter it's broken or it. I mean, the from the gold you are creating to the another stuff, another ornaments or vessel or whatever material you can be making, but the intrinsic nature of the gold still remain. So this is the key idea for Sarvastivada. And yeah, so if there are any kind of discussion, then I will come.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I have several questions.
Yeah, it's okay, no problem.
The first question is, could you define Dharma a little bit more? Do you mean Dharma here as nature, or do you mean it as the Buddhist teaching, or how are you using the word Dharma?
Yeah, this is Dharma. One translation for Dharma is a Buddhist teaching, but in this aspect, Dharma translate as nature, intrinsic nature. That is the yeah, Professor Kapila he also translate intrinsic nature in this aspect. So if you go back to the dictionary, Dharma has thousands of meaning in Indian term. And Dharma also, another translation for Dharma is a religion too, sometime. And Dharma also nature. Dharma also translated as character. In this term, is intrinsic nature. That is the key idea.
Intrinsic nature?
Intrinsic nature, yeah. Nature.
So the
nature,
intrinsic,
yeah.
Okay, and it's the intrinsic nature of a substance, right?
Intrinsic nature of substance, yeah.
Okay, so how does these philosophical categories and distinctions and fine points really relate to the Buddhist teaching on liberation?
Well, this
or,
yeah.
Or is this just a kind of an arcane philosophical discussion that's not really connected?
Is connected. They're connected. It's not only philosophical, because their main contradiction is start. Abhidharma tradition. When Abhidharma tradition was evolved, so Abhidharma tradition, I tell you, that it was analysis of the mind. So normally we can have a mind like a few terms in the sutra. We can see that mind is like a wholesome, unwholesome. This state of mind. But Abhidharma tradition, when evolved, they like to categorize. They like to explain why your mind is wholesome, why his mind he's doing the evil action, how his mind is occupying with this evil action, or someone doing the good things. Like for example, someone like to helping others, making generosity for others. So now Abhidharma like to explain why his mind is generous and how it is, and how he continue his mind as a generous. So they make a more name. It's a wholesome chitta and unwholesome chitta. So these all are. I mean, mostly that these are actually Abhidharmika. One of the. I mean, Abhidharma is a analysis of the mind, analysis, and more analysis. So I think here I'm so glad that Richard also here there. He's teaching the dimensions of the mind, Abhidharma traditions. So maybe Richard can be explain about this more Abhidharma tradition. Yeah.
And one last question regarding the Sarvastivada tradition.
Yeah.
Does it survive in does it survive at all today in other traditions, or did it disappear altogether?
That disappeared. Actually, Theravada tradition, they don't agree with this concept. So from after when the Theravada tradition became more popular in Sri Lanka, it disappeared. And from Sri Lanka, actually there have some conflict, historical conflict before with the Mahavihara and the Avayagiri monastery. So Mahavihara mostly supported the Vivajjavada sect after Buddhaghosa arrived in Sri Lanka. Then Avayagiri is mostly practiced in Sarvastivada tradition. So when Mahavihara became more popular in Sri Lanka, they asked that Sarvastivada tradition, this tradition, I mean, should, I mean, they asked the monks from Sarvastivada tradition to leave the country. So that's disappeared. But this tradition is still there in Chinese tradition and Tibetan tradition. You can find this tradition, but it has This long history about this, and they have thousands of pages in this based on these literatures.
So the Sarvastivada Abhidharma survives in the Mahayana.
Yes, it is in
It's
Mahayana.
it's still used by the Mahayana.
It's still used by Mahayana. So they said Vivasa. Vivasa is the main commentary, and which one we can find from after the fourth Buddhist council. And Mahayana tradition, they also term that Mula Sarvastivada. They used one term, Mula
Okay.
Sarvastivada. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sanjoy, could I
Yes,
ask
sir.
you a question?
Yes, sir.
What came before the Sarvastivada? Because on the face of it, the Sarvastivada Abhidharma is fairly obvious. I mean, you know, to suggest that gold, you know, you can make gold into earrings or you can make gold into a cup is sort of apparent.
Yep.
So was Sarvastivada the first recension of Abhidharma theory, or was there some other theory that Sarvastivada came from? Because you normally hear Sarvastivada as the first thing, but on the face of it, it's a materialist theory, really quite similar to physical materialism in many ways.
Right.
And, you know, was there another, I mean, I'm thinking perhaps of the gunas in the traditional Indian system. I mean, was there some other model which Sarvastivada came from? Because you never see anything before it, so it's hard to tell.
Right. After Third Buddhist Council, historically, Third Buddhist Council, we know that the monks in Pataliputra and that not side of India, they agreed the term of Vivejjavada. So concept of Vivejjavada, I mean, it is the first term we can see the Abhidharma tradition evolved. And during that period, Sarvastivada tradition was there. So according to Venerable Basumitra, Aswagosa, he's mentioned that after the second Buddhist council, 118 years later, after the Buddhas passed away, Sarvastivada tradition was in the North India. Yes, it is a your question is about a doctrinal aspect. I mean, gold is gold, but it's something like a continual process and a materialistic theory. But Vivejjavada theory, Vivejjavada monks, they are not evolving this teaching. They are only accept that present moment. So they say that the appamadang amatang padang, they use this term. They say that it means that appamadena, like heedfulness is a state of the mindfulness. It always accepts that only the present moment. So there is no past, there is no future. So based on the present moment, the future will be there. But they don't accept the present, the future in this term. So Sarvastivada, actually, they're a bit advanced, and this school, the monks, they like to analyze the more past, what is happening in the past. And during that period, as we know that Lalita Vistara, the Bodhisattva's life story by Venerable Aswagosa, it was evolved, this text, and they accepted all the story of the Jataka, Bodhisattva, you know, the 499 99 lives of the Bodhisattvas, they accept. And they also like to combine the teaching, past life into the present life. And based on the teaching, they also try to predict some of the future as well. But mostly that this tradition, like Sarvastivada tradition, they are not only from the fourth Buddhist council, but there was there after second Buddhist council. So it is the one of the chart I mentioned that in 18th school it was accepted by most of the scholars in this time. So Sarvastivada school is a part of Mahisasika, and Mahisasika is a part of Vivejjavada. It is one of
I mean, the question really is if you look at the Pali Abhidhamma,
yeah,
and you look at Vasubandhu's Abhidhamma,
not same.
Yeah, they're not the same. So the Pali Abhidhamma pre-Sarvastivada, or is it just a different approach? I mean, I'm just trying to understand, you know, even in the materials we've got. I mean, I understand that Vasubandhu's Abhidharma Kosha is definitely Sarvastivada, but I'm not quite sure how to understand the Pali Abhidharmic tradition. What school does that come from?
Mm,
Because it
I'm not
doesn't seem to fit within the 4 schools, and yet, you know, they're meant to be these.
Yeah. Actually, yes. Interestingly, that the Pali Abhidharma have 7 texts. Sarvastivada Abhidharma also have 7 texts, and all
Yes.
the name of the texts are almost same.
Yes.
But that changed the concept. You know,
Yes.
they changed this idea. Yeah. So I'm not sure actually which one should be the first or which one should be later. But I just know that I mean, after third Buddhist Council, the Vivajavada became that take over all over the India.
Right.
And after fourth Buddhist Council, Sarvastivada, because the king supported, he was his Kanishka, he was very devoted to Venerable Aswaghosa.
Right.
And most of the time he take advice from Aswaghosa. And whatever we know the information, we are all known from Aswaghosa's diary and his notes about his notes. So yeah, I think that both of the school evolved in the same time, but since they have a philosophical argument, they did not agree.
So could you say that the Pali Abhidharma is Sautantrika?
Somehow
Well, I mean,
it
I
seems
thought Sautantrics didn't accept the Abhidharma. That's what's so confusing. It's like,
no, certainly they do not accept Abhidharma.
yeah, we have this Pali Abhidharma, which is there, very big.
Yeah, that is there. That is big, and they have a that Sautantrika have 2 parts. There's two groups in Sautantrika. One is the Madhyamika Sautantrika as well. One is the other 2. Like so Madhyamika has a Prasangika Madhyamaka, but Sautantrika Madhyamaka also another group too. So there is many division, subdivision. So exactly we can't be say that which one should be the first and which one should be later. But it is just according to the third Buddhist Council and fourth Buddhist Council, because of the time period, we just catalog, make this way.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, but this tradition, I mean, Sarvastivada tradition, I think one thing I feel that they bring the Buddhism as a religion form. All the statue, figures, and the ritual parts, everything start up during that period. That is that they contributed. I mean, to preserve the Dharma in all over the India for as also like like a Hindu way. Hindu also have a worshippings and a lot of chanting. So it also starts during the time of during the time of King Emperor Kanishka. But another interesting, like another thing, as Richard asked this question, as we know, the Theravada tradition mostly take orthodox Visuddhimagga. Visuddhimagga was written in 5th century, and Visuddhimagga is exactly the same version of Vimuktimarga. Visuddhimagga named like path of purification, and Vimuktimarga path of freedom. So Vimuktimarga written in 2nd century in Sri Lanka, Avayagiri monastery. But I don't know why Venerable Visuddhimagga did not make reference about Vimuktimarga. And both of the text, Vimuktimarga and Visuddhimagga, almost the same things, same structure, and almost the teachings are almost same. 90% it is, you can say, similarity. So Vimuktimarga is very accepted by Sarvastivada tradition, and Vimuktimarga also representation of the Sarvastivada, because he lives in the Avayagiri monastery, and Avayagiri monastery was practiced Sarvastivada traditions. So that is, I know, there's a lot of discussion, I think.
So you could then say that maybe the part that the Theravada Abhidharma is Sarvastivada, really.
It is a sister school of the, sister school of Sarvastivada. Yeah. 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 That's that. Yeah. So, is there any more reflection from?
There's one other question I want to ask you, actually, and this is about Greek philosophy.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me that when you look at the Abhidharma, particularly Sarvastivada arguments, you see the influence of Greek philosophy. And I wondered if possibly because of the Kushan Empire spanning the old Macedonian Hellenistic Empire, possibly Greek philosophy entered India, because you can see in these four arguments you've given definitely signs of Greek scholastic thought and Platonic thought. And indeed, Nagarjuna reflects the paradoxes of Zeno verbatim. And pretty much all of Nagarjuna's arguments come from Zeno. And again, you wonder if possibly what happened was that Greek influence came into India and affected Buddhist thinking and gave rise to all of these different schools, these Abhidharma schools. And I wonder if you've ever read anyone who's tried to analyze this to see if that could be the case. Maybe I know there's a dialogue between Miananda and a monk in
Nagasena.
Pali Canon. I mean, this is something more specific. It's whether the Greek ideas, for example, the metaphor of a seed turning into a tree is called entelechi and is a major element in scholastic thought. And is analyzed extensively, and one can't help thinking, my gosh, I wonder if that's an influence.
Yeah, I think it's possible because, yeah, it's true that Milinda Panha, that question, the debate, a question from King Milinder or Melinder from Greek, he's a Greek king, and Nagasena, one monk. So Milinda Panha is Pali, Milinder Panya in the Sanskrit. So it have many versions. One version in the Karusti version, Karusti scriptures, which was written in the during the time of Emperor Kushan dynasty, Karusti script. One is the Brahmi script. And later you can find Pali script. So after Pali script, it became part of the Kuddaka Nikaya.
Yeah.
So it is possible. I think it have a Greek influence, and who knows actually. But yeah, this interesting observation is that all the Buddhist statue in the 1st century to the 4th century, all of the Greek face.
They all got Greek.
Greek-Buddhist art. Yeah, and we can see that Indian face from 5th century to the 11th century. This statue.
Interesting. Thank you.
Maybe possible.
Very
interesting.
Yeah.
I think is there any other people that if any question? Well, last class I missed one question from John. She asked me that what happened when the Ashoka's time Buddhism arrived into Egypt. Actually, I'm sorry that I missed your question. Later I checked from the chat box. So actually we don't know too much what happened. Actually, in the Ashoka's period, we know that one group of missionary went to the Egypt, and Egypt is a part of the Africa. So I guess from Egypt, maybe those missionaries moved to the Middle East Asia. And because in Iran also, Iranian side, this part, we still can see that some in the museum, ancient Iraq museum too, we can find some Buddhist statue. So probably that the group maybe the move to the more into the Middle East Asia, but we don't know much information about that group. What happened later on?
Okay.
Yeah. So, is there any more? We still have a time.
Well, yes, there's one other question I've got, and I don't know if it's worth mentioning it, but of course, there is the Abhidharma Samukkaya from the Yogacara school, which is what the Tibetans really study. They don't really study the Sarvastivada much.
No, they study, yes.
Yeah, from a Sangha, not the kosher. They do study the kosher, but really to refute it. And I wondered if there's ever been a systematic comparison done between the different Abhidhammas. Do you know if that's ever been carried out?
Not really has done actually. It is tough because Abhidhamma Samuccaya, the text is in Sanskrit, and
Yes.
and Sarvastivada many texts, Mula Sarvastivada in classical Chinese.
Right.
And from classical Chinese, they translate it again into Sanskrit because you have to say that after Buddhism arrived in China, and they arrived, not only arrived, the translation started from the Kumarajiva's translation. And this translation, initially Kumarajiva was a brilliant scholar. His translation was extraordinary, But later on, some translator could not agree with Kumarajiva's. So they again retranslated. They have a few versions. One is the Kumarajiva's version, and another one is that, and later on a scholar, the Buddhavajra, his name, his version, and still not yet actually. It's a vast work because there's so many language is involving with this research.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. So I hope that all of you will rejoice this class, and so thank you very much for all of your kind attention. So still that maybe one more time I ask that if any kind of question or any kind of suggestion, then I can take it and we can discuss in next class too. So okay. So yeah, so this is the thing that I mean, after Third Buddhist Council, I mean, again that we just in brief in the end, First Buddhist Council and Second Buddhist Council, it was non-sectarian Buddhism. So we do not say that any kind of division, and we just know that Dharma and Vinaya in the First Buddhist Council and Second Buddhist Council. But from the Third Buddhist Council, we got the term for the first time Abhidharma. So Dharma, Vinaya, and Abhidharma. And Third Buddhist Council mostly represented Vivajyavada Abhidharma, and which is later on known as Theravada Abhidharma. So in the Fourth Buddhist Council, we know that Sarvastivada Abhidharma. So it is in brief the summarized so far we have done. So thank you very much for all of your kind attention. May you all have a good week. Good see you all in the next class. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjoy.